Well, hello again, everybody. I am Jason Alexander.
I'm still Peter Tilden.
Still? You want to stay with it?
And by the way, Jason's hawking me. Change your shirt. Change your shirt. I know we tape a couple in a day, but make it look like it's a different day. So
I have 4 outfits. We did 4 episodes today. I brought 4 outfits. How hard is it? How hard is it? How many outfits did you bring? How many changes?
2. And you know why?
No,
I wear this. I have 700.
I know why, because you don't care. You don't care.
Well, that's the truth. And then Jason said, put this on. It'll look good. Now I can smell what you had for lunch Tuesday, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's holding.
Really? No, really?
Really? No, really? Really? No, really? Really?
Our really no really today is we
What is it?
imagine this is your situation. You get asked to spend what's probably going to be 10 years of your life to work on several sequels of a movie that was made 12 years ago, and to break even, it has to make $2 billion in the theaters. Really?
No, really.
If someone comes to you with that proposition, you go, you know what? I got other things on my plate. I got things to do.
Not me. You know what I say?
I got another franchise. I don't need you.
You know what I say?
What do you say?
They're betting against James Cameron? Really? Not really? This guy did Alien. He did Abyss. He did the Terminator.
Sure.
He did the first Avatar, which made $1 gazillion.
Sure.
Who bets against this guy? Either he's the genius of the century, or we finally see a guy who is able to make a deal with the devil, because nobody has those percentages.
Or both.
So or both.
Or both.
So I'm in. So today we are joined by a man we both know.
That's right.
Lovely guy who this couple.
Along with his wife, who's smart enough to not appear on our podcast.
Yeah, smart. And he's either 50% of the couple, half of a couple, or 1/8. We don't know how much
we
she
don't
does.
know.
I'm guessing she
I
does
have a
more.
feeling she does
He
more.
could be 1/8 of the couple, right?
I think Rick does the typing. But
You mean she dictates paces and Rick goes, yeah. So
say hello.
Slow it down.
To one of the co-writers of Avatar 2, 3, 4, Ape 5, 7, 6, 7, 9, and 11.
And let me just say,
Yes.
Avatar: The Way of the Water has overtaken Titanic as the 3rd highest grossing movie of all times. And the amazing thing about this is to write a movie that's global in this way. In China, it did $242 million. In Germany, $135 million. But the thing that's the most fascinating is it is the highest grossing film of all time in France, Germany, Australia, Bulgaria. This is the #1 movie.
Sure.
Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Portugal, Slovenia.
Sure.
Slovakia.
Mostly places that don't have water.
Slovakia. Well, they don't have movies either, so it's the highest grossing. Cambodia, Mongolia. The last thing they saw.
The highest grossing film in Mongolia. I would not have seen that
Well, again,
coming.
the movie before this was Sound of Music.
Right.
New Zealand, Colombia, and Puerto Rico.
Mr. Rick Jaffa is here with us today.
Rick, congratulations. Did you know all of those stats, by the way, that the movie was that big in like Slovakia? And do you get the grosses?
Well, they
like
love us in Slovakia.
You're the only man on the planet. I know Slovakians that
So
can't
you're
make
sitting
that
in the
claim.
writer's room, you go, oh, this kills in Slovakia. This joke will kill in
It's
Slovakia.
going to definitely kill there.
Wow. Well,
I did not-
congratulations,
well, thanks.
man.
I didn't know those stats, though.
I
I know this, though. I know that a Ukrainian distributor called John Landau to say that it was going to be the highest grossing film of all time in Ukraine. And evidently, he was saying that the people really need it. When the lights come back on, you know, and the electricity comes back on, people are going to the theater to see the movie.
Okay, seriously. You're saying even through
Yes.
the war effort,
Even through the war.
they are still getting access to that film, and people are coming out and seeing it in numbers.
That's what I've been told.
That is spectacular.
It's a really no really.
That is
Really
a
no
really
really.
no
Amazing.
really.
Amazing.
Yeah,
They're
that's
amazing.
amazing. Congratulations, and thank you.
So
everybody
we
who
happened to
worked
be
on that
with
film.
you. I'll never forget this because, you know, in prepping, I read a lot about this stuff, and it said that Cameron gave the co-writers, he started with a 1,000-page single-spaced document, and it got it down to 800. And we were talking about this earlier. We were with Rick the night, shortly after you got the assignment, and you said to me, I heard the fax machine going, starting at like 8 o'clock at night. And I heard it at 12, and then I heard it at 3, and then I heard it at 8, it just kept going and going. And you said, I think you said, he even described like the bolts on the outside of the lab thing that holds the water. Everything was so specific to make sure you were up to speed on the world that he created.
Yeah. Well, the story was that I emailed him right after our deal. First of all, I'm approximately one half with the team.
I noticed you went back to that. See, you had to go back to that.
She is
Amanda's
smarter
listening.
than-
Or you
Yeah.
don't get in the house. It's double bolted with a new bolt.
Yeah, she's smarter, and it's going to become more obvious.
I'm not
as
coming
this
on,
goes
but I'm listening. Yes.
Anyway, I emailed Jim and just said, "Hey, our deal's closed. We're really excited. Is there anything you want us to do to prepare?" Because the room wasn't going to start for like 3 weeks, and that's when, and that's all I said. And within, I don't know, 20 minutes, I got like a three-page single-spaced response with attachments. The first attachment was called Pandorapedia, which was, by the way, available online, and it's anything you'd ever want to know about Avatar, Pandora, and that described the flora, the fauna of the planet, but also the rivets in the shuttles, and it was so unbelievably specific. And so what happened is that I just hit print. I didn't even look at I just hit print, and that's when the machine started going. And it was in the days when the wheel would spin, the numbers would go. And at like 80, I started to get concerned. By 350, I thought, there goes my marriage. I was really concerned.
Wow. Little did you know.
But let me say, though, that was just the beginning. A PA came over, like almost with a truck, and dropped off books and movies, the things he wanted us to read and watch. And once we got into the room, that's when he shared with us, I think that he had like 1,500 pages of his own personal notes going all the way back to middle school. And he didn't make us go through all of those, but he read to us, and we read with him probably 700 pages.
Was it specifically technical, or was it emotion too? Because the movies, this movie and your movie, Planet Apes, has to do a lot with character, moving character. Yeah, there's fights, there's that, but there's huge emotion on everything you write.
Right.
And this is character driven.
Yeah.
So how much of it was character driven? How much of it is how many rivets on the side of a thing?
Yeah.
Because I would imagine even with his melodious voice, 700 pages of the rivets, it's a little.
No, it was.
Depends on what they're paying Rick, because I'm listening to rivets as long as you want to talk rivets.
It's riveting.
Yeah, it's funny. It was both. It was both. I mean, he came in saying, "I want to build a family saga." That was kind of his first, introduction to us into the room. I want to build a family saga, but before we get there, let's do our homework.
And what was his introduction to you? Why? So James Cameron
us?
could pick anybody to do this Avatar thing. He picked two other writers and you and your wife. What was it that he saw in you and your wife? What piece of work where he went, I think I want to work with these people?
Well, we had actually written a draft of Fantastic Voyage, which was on development for a long time. In fact, we were kind of like long middle relievers on that project, and so he and John were producers, and so that was our first introduction to those guys. But it was Rise of the Planet of the Apes really that got him excited.
Yeah.
And then when we met with him, he said to me later, he said, "Look, it was important. It was important to him that the room be collaborative, and open, and good listeners." And he said he figured that if Amanda and I could be together, 30 years and collaborate and still be married.
But do you and Amanda tend to present ideas as a unified team, or is she's got something, her idea, you've got your idea, and it gets worked out in the process?
Okay, so in the Avatar room, we were never huddled together and then come up with an idea and present it, because we were sitting there as a unit.
Everybody.
So Jim,
Yep.
yeah, it was Jim, Amanda, me, Josh Friedman, and Shane Salerno. And so as a team, we tried to build this family saga out, originally over 3 movies, but we would just contribute individually. But then Amanda and I, though, obviously would go home on the way home, unless we were too tired to think. But we would talk, and then a lot of times we would work things out together, and one of us would present it. It didn't really matter whether it came from her or from me, or it was never anything like, we cooked this up. What do you guys think? It was just an idea.
And what if you're not on the same page with an idea?
Yeah, does it ever go, well...
It never happens.
It doesn't.
Really?
Well,
No slamming doors? No, I'm not talking to you?
I just say yes to everything.
Well, and that's
That's
smart.
the key. That's what makes the train
You want
last.
you want a gorilla to ride a horse? He's riding a horse. All right, I put him on a horse.
Is that
No.
really true? Do you find, for the most part, that the way to navigate both of those realities is is to kind of let her take the lead, or is there ever a moment where
No,
you go,
look,
look, I vehemently disagree, and I
yeah.
think we have to go this way?
The thing is that it's evolved over the years. I mean, there's this Coen brothers story that I don't forget which film it was. They were, well, and I don't remember which one directs and which one produces. But the one who directs, action, the scene happens, he says cut. One of the brothers says, and the other brother says, I'll tell him. Right? And that's kind of the way we work at this point anyway. It's rare that we disagree, but what's kept it working all these years is that we just have really, and this has definitely helped our marriage, but we just really listen to one another. I mean, really listen. So we don't listen in order to respond. It's not a ping pong match.
Right.
It's really listening and understanding where, because even if an idea comes and you don't like it or you don't think it's right, it's coming from something. And this is a person, Amanda, someone I respect as much as anyone on earth. So in terms of her creativity and her smarts and all, so I really listen. It's like, where's this idea coming from? And
I'm so screwed right now, by the way. I'm so screwed right. You know why I'm screwed right? Ask me. Say, Peter, why are you screwed right now?
Why are you screwed, Peter?
Because when my wife listens to this episode, when it gets to this point, I'm going to hear from the other room. See, he listens. He's not expecting an answer. Sometimes you just need to let me talk, not have a solution.
Right.
That's going to happen. That's going to happen.
And you know what I was going to say is he was describing really the relationship you and I have, because we listen when each other talks.
What?
Don't we? Don't you think?
I don't know.
What's your thought?
Anyway, so
no, that's what I was going to say.
we do. We actually.
Yeah.
We listen, but we have a very different thing, because we, more often than not, we are on other sides of an idea.
Sure.
He's wrong and I'm right.
It's a negotiation that involves threats. And
we've had the great thing, and I can say this: we had one in front of our crew where they get uncomfortable, and we're going at it. And the great thing about him and our friendship is, a lot of people say when it's over, but it's not. They hold a grudge. I have zero.
Right.
Zero. It just goes away. It's been 30 years. Now
also the fact that I'm usually right helps a lot, because he realizes
the delusion is why bother? Why try to explain to somebody who doesn't get it? They don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah,
so
it's a tough place
I got to
to
ask
be.
you, Jim Cameron. I've been around Jim Cameron a little bit.
Yeah.
He's scary. He scares me. I heard if a phone goes off on the set, he takes a nail gun and nails it to the wall. I heard what I just
and
read.
that's a landline, right?
Schwarzenegger, or one of the movie Terminator, had to go to the bathroom, but he was in the costume. And Jim went, no, you don't go to the bathroom right now. And Schwarzenegger then, I think, relieved himself on Jim or whatever. Is he that tough? And part of that is, I'm also blown away, because he feels, there's a thing that successful people do, and it's called certainty. Mm-hmm. They come at it with certainty. You don't doubt it. Larry David on Seinfeld, Jerry on Seinfeld, they didn't take any note. They didn't want notes. They listened, but there was certainty. They said, no, we're doing this, and it won. Jim looks like he's the poster boy for certainty. So when you're dealing with that, that's a little bit intimidating. So is he scary? I mean, you're friends now. You've worked with him.
Oh, yeah.
But he's a daunting figure.
It more so in the very beginning. We were all a little nervous and intimidated, I think. But the thing about Jim, in terms of the writer's room, is that you have to remember he's a writer also. I mean, you think of him as a director or this technological genius and this bigger-than-life character. But in a writer's room, he's just one of the writers, one of the guys, as it were. And so, he's a funny storyteller. He wanted us all to be really comfortable also, because I go back to the family saga of it all. There are, obviously Amanda and I have 2 kids. Josh has a son. Shane was the only one in the room without kids. But when we got into the room, it required being open and telling a lot of personal stories and opening up, not just about our kids, but my relationship with my brother, who had passed away a year before we got into the room. And so if we all had felt intimidated, I think Jim realized if we'd felt so intimidated, it's like, hey, am I going to really talk about my brother? Am I really going to suggest this dynamic because it was the way it was for me growing up, or things like that. So it felt like a very safe room. So we never saw any of those kinds of behavioral things. I'm sure they're true, by the way. I'm sure they are. But we we're fortunate. We never saw it.
Well,
I mean, there did get a couple times.
Yeah.
Like when we would start to argue. There was one time he and I were arguing Story Point, and Shane at the end of the table just leans down the table and he says, "Stay down, Luke. Stay down." So I got. He's seeing
Well, that's
something.
what I was going to ask.
Okay, got it.
If you pitch an idea and he goes, "Yeah, I don't think so." I mean, is it? Can you change his mind, or is it sort of certain and immovable?
Usually, you can't change his mind in the moment. A lot of times, though, the right idea finds its way, and it will become his idea. But that, by the way,
well, that's us. That's very much us.
But that's human.
So, yeah.
No, that's human nature.
Yes,
though.
it is.
That's a big part of our job. Me and Amanda is to a lot of times introduce things that then can become.
I call it planting a seed. I'm going to plant a seed.
Planting a seed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't ever apples to apples. I mean, it wasn't always apples to apples. Sometimes you'd suggest something, and it would become, Jim's banana.
So I got to know with casting, do you go, I want Michelle Pfeiffer, but she can only hold her breath for 5.5 minutes?
Yeah.
And I mean, is that what the casting goes?
Yeah, I mean that's true. Do you pass on somebody because they go, I need 30 seconds. I can hold my breath, and then I can give you a solid. I'm Dame Judi Dench, but I can only give you 30 seconds at a shot.
Yeah, she's actually Judi Dench is actually good at holding her breath.
By the way, you know what? He's going to put
Really?
He's got he's got a book of breath holding.
Yeah.
He knows
Times for every actor and actress not.
all the self tapes.
It'll be organized by time.
So okay, so James said in prepping for this that actors like boot camp. So he does boot camps where they're riding mechanical things and they're holding their breath and doing that stuff. Did you participate in that too?
We did not. We went. Our boot camp was different in that we just, we went to graduate Avatar school. We watched the movie. We went through all those notes.
You didn't want to see how long you can hold your breath?
And what were the movies he sent you to prep? What was he referencing?
Everything from Emerald Forest. I mean, things with indigenous characters, things that worked, things that didn't work.
But he was influenced by Star Wars and You by James Bond, right? Isn't that kind of the background?
Yeah, it's funny. We did bring up all that stuff in the room. For some of those it's so funny. For some of those underwater scenes, I said, "There's this great moment in Thunderball." And so let's go watch that. And of course we do it. It didn't hold up at all. It was like, this guy in an orange suit underwater it just was so slow.
Yeah.
But
that's what happens when you look back at those. They
my
are slow.
God, yeah.
I showed my kids when they were young teenagers. I said, "You're going to like this movie, Rocky. You're going to love it."
Yeah.
And they went, "Jesus,
How
could they
dare
get
you?
to
Wait
the
a
point
minute,
already?
wait a
Get
minute.
to
Rocky's a lovely movie still, don't you think?
I love
Mike,
Rocky.
it was too slow
but
for
it
my
doesn't
kids.
translate to the younger kid.
It was
I
too
think we
slow
did-
for them. They
Yeah.
just went,
Yeah.
fight them already.
Yeah. Knock him out and get it over
I'm
with.
still back at Kate Winslet at 7.
Yeah, I can't.
Everybody listening, think about this.
Yeah.
She held her breath for 7 minutes and 14 seconds.
That's nothing. I once didn't urinate for 3 hours and 8 minutes on a set. I held it together.
Was that
That's
under-
tough.
was that
Come on,
underwater?
Congratulations.
Who wins? Yeah,
Congratulations.
big deal.
Yeah, but that was.
But I should say Jason couldn't urinate at that point. But
I had a stone,
that's
but,
a whole other thing. But 7, how
I'm
do you...
curious though. Was that underwater? Or was that?
Eventually, when that stone came out, it was underwater.
So that sounds... It sounds stupid. It sounds impossible that she held her breath
No,
for
it is
7 minutes. And
But was that necessary to do? I mean, what?
I don't know that. And I don't.
I mean, who
I don't
designs
think
a
so.
sequence where an actor has to hold their breath for 4 minutes?
Whoa. So he said the 7:14 was static. So you're lowering your heart rate. That means you can act for 2:30 or 2:40. They can get 2:40 out of you. Isn't that amazing?
But honestly, when you're designing how you're going to get a movie like that, which is so much underwater acting,
Right.
do you ever think, well, I got to get my actors up to 90 seconds in order to get this sequence?
Yeah.
How do you even...
We were there. Like we were. Our involvement was so much more.
on the other side of it, in the prep.
Because at one point in the room, and we were deep into the room, we had probably designed the first and second film already. I asked Jim, I said, have you figured out, like, how are you going to do performance capture underwater? And he literally said, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. Yeah.
Studios are notoriously fidgety and upset. I'm guessing when they can't see it and it's 400 million or 500 million bucks and it's CGI that's going to come later and you just got to believe what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The studio has no say in this. They don't look at a script. They can't approve nothing. They don't talk. They just let them go and pray. They sit and pray the whole time. That's all.
Well, there were regime changes throughout these number of years, so things were handed down. But Emma Watts, who was running Fox at the time, did read the scripts, and she did give a handful of notes, I think.
How does that go over?
Depends on what the notes are.
Okay.
Yeah, when
Because we had heard on Titanic that a movie executive went to the set because they were concerned, and it was a day when he has the Titanic in a giant tank with 8 million extras, and Jim took the note by saying, fine, then you do it, and left. Just left, drove off, and the executive's standing going, is he really gone? Is that true?
Yeah, I don't know if that's true.
Sound like it could be?
But you know what? You don't even have to go to that. You guys, because I read this story, you guys actually stood fast against, I think it was probably studio notes, on Rise of the Planet of the Apes, because it was your idea that the protagonist in that film had to be Caesar, and they kept saying, no, it has to be the humans. And how did you, and they basically dismissed you from the project for a while, right?
2 or 3 times, yeah. Well, yeah, they said to us, let's be clear, we'll never make the movie if the ape is the protagonist. And we said, absolutely, yes, you're absolutely right. And we just kept writing what we knew to be right and true. And so then we got fired. And the thing is that we were producers on it. So when we sold them the idea, we insisted on being producers for moments just like this one. So we'd be fired, and then another writer would come on, and then we'd be sitting there in the room with the other writer saying, yeah, no, we tried that already. That doesn't really work. You may want to try it this way. So that happened. So I guess we got fired 3 times off of that. And we just kept, it was kind of like the Bobby Kennedy Missiles of October thing. We just pretended we didn't get, you remember that the letter from Khrushchev? We'll just pretend like we didn't get the letter.
Right.
So it was kind of like that.
And
Yeah,
did
we just-
can I just tell you, Richard Gere told me the same thing on Pretty Woman. I said, what do you do if the director gives you a note and it just doesn't feel right? He says, I go, yes. And then they shoot another take, and I do what I want to do. And then the director comes over and he goes, no, what I meant is da-da-da-da-da-da. And you go, yes, oh, yes. And then you do exactly what you want to do. And he goes, after about 4 takes, they'll give up. They'll go, he's stupid, but you'll never do something you don't want to do.
Yeah. It's a little different because, at that point, Richard Gere can't get fired off the film.
That's true.
So
that's true.
For us, we learned this from Curtis Hanson, who was the first directed our first movie. And he would say to us, he would go to these notes meetings, and he would always be so zen and so calm. And he'd say to us, look, even if it sounds like the stupidest note you've ever gotten, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. The note's coming from something. Mm-hmm. So if they're saying this moment isn't playing in Act 2, then maybe the setup in Act 1 isn't clear or precise enough. And so we never really dismiss. I mean, it's easy to say, "Oh, the studios they're full of idiots."
Sure.
They're not idiots. I mean, it's a tough job,
right?
And they have a job to do. And so, so again, it's listening. It's like, well, where is this note really coming from?
Yeah.
And sometimes it actually, you can find something. Oh, it really does help the script.
My wife, who's a painter, says something very similar. Someone will say, the face isn't quite right. The face isn't quite right. And she'll look at it and she goes, well, the face is right. And she'll say, what it is the thing next to the thing isn't right.
Right.
It's not that the face isn't right. The hair is off. The hair is the wrong chroma, and it's throwing off.
Yeah.
And she goes, so sometimes, and I've tried to take that in when I have any kind of creative control, sometimes it's the thing next to the thing. Mm-hmm. Or as you say, the setup in Act 1 is killing the story point too.
Yeah, and sometimes too, as a writer, you think, oh man, you crazy? Don't you see it? But it's not really clear. Sometimes it's clear to you. And the good thing about us as a team is that it's got to get through 2 filters before it gets to the studio. Right. So it's fewer times and something's not clear. But even so, a lot of times it'll get past both of us and we'll think, no, that moment's playing. But then you reread it And you think, no, okay, it's really not. If we're going to be really honest, it can be clearer. And then sometimes too, we write it as if we're writing, screenwriting for dummies kind of a thing. It just really spell it out. The king is dead.
Right.
Right, just get to it.
When they say to you, Stephen Lang has got to be in the next film, and you look at the first film and you go, he took a spear the size of the top of the Empire State Building right through the heart.
Right.
How is he coming back? Is it just because Cameron really likes Stephen Lang and goes, I like him on the set, I want to have him around? And you go, what would be great if Stephen Lang's character came back? What was the chicken, what was the egg on that?
Yeah, he came in with the I wouldn't say idea, I'd say the decision that Lang would that Quaritch was going to come back.
And was that purely because I see the story, or was that I really by the way, both is legit, or is it just like I really dig Stephen Lang and I want him back on my movie?
Yeah. Well, again, you'd have to ask Jim that question, but I know that
he's not going to talk. He's not coming on.
You have his number.
He's not coming on to this thing. We have to ask you.
Well, I'll tell you this: he loves Stephen Lang.
Sure.
Those guys are brothers.
Yeah.
And he loves them, and so I don't know that and he also loves the character of Quaritch.
Yeah.
So I don't know in terms of those two things, which was the chicken and egg, but he came in and said, we're bringing back Quaritch. And we say, we weren't quite as articulate and vocal as you just were. It was more like a silent pause.
Yeah.
And I don't know which one of us said, well, how's that going to work exactly?
Yeah, exactly.
And he pitched us this whole idea he had about a soul drive and this and that. And I was always kind of the guy in the room that says, well, man, I don't know. Are people going to buy that? Or, and are there no consequences on Pandora? In other words, you can die, but you can come back. And
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But
Not only that, I'm in the tree. If they hooked me up to the tree before I died, I'm alive in the tree.
Sci-fi, you can make rules.
There's all these possibilities for
Sci-fi,
people living and coming back into these movies, and yet in 5 ape movies, and now what's going to be 4 Pandoras. I'm not a Navi. I'm not an ape. I worked with an orangutan. I know how to do orangutan. I just did a movie with mocap. I know how to do mocap. Who do I have to talk to be a Navi? You don't see a little bald,
I
Jewish
do.
Navi running around. I can hook up to a fish and ride. What keeps me from doing that?
What are you tweeting to me?
I can hold my breath. What do you need? 48 seconds? I can do 48 seconds at a stretch. I'll get there.
Please, he says this ever since we knew your book. He's every day. You think he's going to put me in a movie?
Oh my God!
I can do it.
And first of all, and this man writes movies with holes. Caesar was a chimp. There's a gorilla standing right next to the... How come the gorilla never went, oh, you're a tough guy, huh? You're a tough guy. Come here. Let's arm wrestle. How come the gorilla never did that with the chimp?
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
In the first one, I can tell you exactly what
Go
that
ahead.
was.
Give me. Yeah.
So Buck, the gorilla, was based on a guy I knew in high school who played fullback for the football team. And I made friends with him as a freshman, so nobody'd pick on me.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we patterned Buck after this guy I grew up with.
A protector.
So, so that was their relationship.
All right. All right, you stopped me. You shut me right
But listen,
down.
can I go back to the soul drive thing for a second?
Yeah, sure. Please.
Who's going to stop you?
The thing is that you talked about certainty before.
Yeah.
And Jim has a way of presenting an idea. He was like, they're going to buy it. The audience is going to buy it. It's going to work.
Well, sure.
And then you don't argue because he's absolutely certain. And there was a lot of things, even as we saw cuts of the films, that we'd give him notes, and he would listen. And I think he did, and I think he incorporated some of our notes into the cuts. But other things, he's like, don't waste your breath. I'm not changing the frame.
He's very big on the audience is going to buy it, which is going to take me to Titanic for a minute. Now, I know you didn't work on Titanic.
Yeah.
I know you didn't work on Titanic, so none of this is... And I know he did a thing. He had scientists come in, and they determined there's very little chance if they both got on the door that they would have been below the water. And he went out of his way to prove that the decision that he made for the end of that movie was the right choice.
But we need you to call. Jason's going to tell you. We've been talking about this for years.
Right.
He did it wrong.
Right.
He did it wrong. Here you
It's
go.
still wrong. It's still wrong, and he's testing the wrong things. Because the first thing is, I love you, Jack. I love you. I'll always love you. I love you too, Rose. You're going to live. You're going to make it. Right. And why didn't Jack ever say, you know what? I love you too, Rose. Listen, how about this? If I could just get my testicles out of the freezing water
20 minutes
for
out.
20 minutes. How about the buddy system? 20 minutes
You
in,
go
20
in, I
minutes
go
out.
out.
We switch
Yeah.
off. We tag up. If nothing else, maybe you're on the thing. Maybe you get up on your knees. Look for another piece of debris. Maybe
A floating corpse I can
a
hang
corpse
on
I
to,
could float
something.
on.
Yeah.
And if all of that fails, at least the last line should be, as before he goes in the water, he goes, okay, Rose, I'm not going to make it, but you are. And you know what? That little pendant I gave you that's worth about $8 billion. Use it in my, don't do
Help the
anything
boys
stupid
club.
with it.
You wouldn't
Use
do
it
anything
to
stupid,
make
would
a donation, make a foundation in my name. Hold it close to you, Rose. Never let it go.
I shouldn't even
What?
say this. You
And-
wouldn't be stupid enough
you
to
wouldn't
throw it away.
throw it in the water, would you? That
you
would
would help
never happen.
mankind with that.
Yeah, he's testing whether they can both
Yeah.
float on a door. These are the wrong questions.
See,
That's what I'm
the
saying.
beautiful thing about that is, when did that movie come out?
1846.
1846, and we're still talking about it.
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
You're
still
Because it's dumb. Because it's dumb ending.
you're playing
You're
around.
so
a
right.
little
You
know
bit.
what? 'Cause Jack
but
would be
people still
alive.
have this argument all
You
the time.
bet. Listen, if
'Cause I would be
that's
yelling
the
at my
goal
wife.
of the movies I make, that people are arguing about it 30 years later, I can make a lot of movies.
Jack-
by the way,
Jack-
let me
Jack
ask
took
you
his own
something.
life, by the
You
way.
were a big muckety, but you're a big agent, motion pictures, William Morris.
Yeah.
You decide, I don't want to be in power anymore. I'm going to be the writer.
Yeah.
Didn't you learn anything about show business? You
No.
become a producer, you become a director, you become an executive.
Yeah.
Who becomes the writer? Did you learn nothing?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
You know what? I think you made a pretty good choice, though.
Yeah, it was funny. I didn't. The thing was, I think I was really naive. That we were at a premiere. One of our premieres. We were going down one of the first ones. We were going down the red carpet, and this woman was doing interviews, and they kind of brought us up to her, and she literally pushed us out of the way so she could ask Bill Block a question. And it was uncomfortable. He's going, look, by the way, he wasn't even involved in the movie.
Oh, my God.
He was just an agent,
That's
at the
great.
time. Maybe
Are you,
something-
by the way, on the set? Are you on the set every day with rewrites and stuff?
for which?
For the Avatar movie, for instance?
Definitely not for Avatar. I mean, with Avatar, we didn't really spend any time on the set. It after a while, it just became Jim's movie, and so I don't really know. I don't know that. He
So when
did
you
any
see it,
rewriting.
are you as just blown away by what you're seeing as anybody would
Yeah,
be?
it's a funny thing with our movies in that we see lots of cuts.
Yeah.
You see lots of cuts with people running around in gray leotards,
Yeah.
and it takes a certain leap to see it, and in every one of our films, we were always worried about it right up to the.
Will it
we were
work?
really
Will it play?
just
Yeah.
really worried, and oh my God, is it going to work? And our best stuff didn't make it, or whatever. It's kind of the universal thing for artists, and we've been so blessed because every time we're sitting there for the first time in the theater at the premiere usually, and it's like, oh my God, they're going crazy. They
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
They're laughing, they're screaming, they're crying or whatever it is, and so it's a weird thing. It's like we worry about it until the day it comes out. And
Did you get anything,
always
by the way? Like when it hit $1 billion, did they drop a car at your house and go, look outside?
Muffins. There's some muffins.
Muffins.
Yeah,
Muffins.
that's
Wow.
always nice.
And it's $2 billion? $2 billion got what?
Oh, more muffins.
No, there's sprinkles.
Cronuts.
There's sprinkles on top of the.
Wow, the Friends cast got like cars.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
get anything on Seinfeld when you hit a?
Oh yeah,
Okay, all
we
right.
got a signed copy of the test results saying it'll never work. So listen, I know you're working for another couple of years on the avatars, right? At least.
Well, your next
we've-
one shot already, kind
It's
of.
shot already. So
Yeah.
I think any work we do will be, well, I don't know. It's possible that we could do some creative work on the script, but it's shot.
It's shot.
It's shot, and
Wow.
so then our input now would be just watching cuts and talking to Jim. And
So that begs my question: What do you and Amanda want to do? Is there a story you guys have always wanted to do that you just haven't been able to get to, or that you haven't gotten
Yeah.
anybody to sort of give it the green light? Because I would imagine.
right.
I mean, everybody thinks with success you have autonomy and you can do whatever you want. But
Yeah.
is there a passion project you'd love to get to?
There's a couple of ideas that we haven't quite figured out. That we'd like to figure out and try to set up. But it's funny, we never intended to get into the big sci-fi thing. It wasn't, I loved Planet of the Apes when I was a kid, but I wasn't actually a sci-fi kind of guy, and neither was Amanda. And so once with the success of that first one, it just kind of took off, and so you find ways to make these projects your own, and how you connect with them, and so we want to tell stories that move people, get people back. At this point, get people back in the theater.
Yeah.
By the way, look at that. After COVID, you know what it took to get people back in the theater? Tom Cruise strapping himself to the outside of a plane, the inside of a plane. He's not going to do a moonwalk. I mean, this is what it's taking to get people back in the theater for these event movies. How do you do a little movie today? How do you do a little intimate film?
For now, I mean, hopefully there's some kind of, wind that these bigger movies will create that carries the other movies along. But I don't know. I mean, it's a scary time. I think people just have to keep telling the stories they want to tell, and hopefully you'll find ways to get it out there.
So speaking of that, before you go, we have a couple of pitches that I think are really. I mean, don't be embarrassed to love these. You can. Take
I asked about Patrick projects because I think captive audience will pitch.
We got these are. Please be honest, but listen, open mind, everybody.
And I'm going to tell you ahead of time, they're all sequels because you do very good.
This
is
what you do.
With the next.
We're
next
not
chapter
stupid.
stories.
Yeah.
We have you in because you're the sequel. You've done amazing sequels. So here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. I'll give the title, and Jason will tell you what it's about.
Got it.
Wizard of Oz.
Sequel, Home Again, the Kansas years. No scarecrows, no lions, just Dorothy, no place like home, and now foreclosed, drought,
Yeah,
and
Dust
sing.
Bowley.
Dust Bowley. It's sort of a Grapes of Wrath meets Oz.
Don't let him
Right?
go where he goes.
I'm just trying to make the thing.
Yeah.
All right, wait.
What do you think? Scale of 1 to 10? Possible? Doable?
Yeah, no, I think it's a 10 plus.
All right,
I
there we
think-
go.
I think it's good.
Wait,
I
there's more.
almost don't need to pitch the rest. We're
Yeah,
already
but
in.
the others, if
We've
you
made a
like
sale.
that, wait until he hears it.
All right.
Here we go. Field of Dreams.
The next 5 years. The pandemic version. Nobody's coming. That long line of cars, they're all gone. They all came. Now there's no cornfield. There's no crop. The little girl swallowed another hot dog. The redheaded kid wasn't there to save her. There's no ghosts. Now you're stuck with a baseball field in the middle of nowhere.
And barely dreams.
And somebody's saying, if you scrap it, you'll get paid. There's a
Yeah.
voice in the field that goes, if you plow it under, you'll get paid.
Yeah.
At least for the land.
Amazing, right?
What do you think?
Well, maybe one of those like intros on Turner Classic Movies. One of those short films.
Oh, short film.
Okay, he liked The Wizard of Oz better. All right, I can read the
All
room.
right,
I
that's
can
all
read
right.
the room.
All right, but that's okay. We got two more. We got two
Sure,
more that
yeah.
are winners.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Bridget Jones.
Bridget Jones. Not the diary.
The X-Files.
Bridget Jones, the obituary. She's dead. Everybody else is writing about her. She's not writing about anybody.
Yeah.
They're all writing about her.
Amazing.
She was a nudnik. She was a pain.
I don't even know why
She
I'm
missed
writing
my
this.
birthday.
You seen it? You seen it?
Yeah, no, I'm trying to
I think
work.
he likes this one. Look at this. Look
Yeah,
at
the
the
wheels are
turning.
spinning.
The wheels are
This may be
turning.
more of a project for Amanda. We may be pitching to
could
the wrong
be,
side of the team.
yeah.
And wait, this is our favorite one because you like action and heart. I
Yeah.
think this is
This has got it all.
This is the one.
Yep.
This is the one you're going to say, Rick. How do I get involved in this? Call your agent.
Right.
And I would say, okay, but I don't have an agent. But here we go. Taken 4.
Taken for the grandchild. Somebody takes the grandchild. The movie starts with Liam
What's
Neeson.
it called? What's the actual name?
What's it called?
Taken 4. I just went upstairs for a
I
minute.
just went upstairs for a minute. Right. It starts with Liam Neeson, goes upstairs to shower. Boom, grandchild is gone. And now the whole movie, it's a twist. It's not Liam Neeson looking for the grandchild. It's Famke Jensen looking for Liam Neeson.
'Cause he
He's
doesn't
going,
care.
I'm out. I can't do this
Just
anymore.
make sure she takes her
Nobody in this
medication.
family
I don't
knows how to
care.
take care of themselves. Like, what am I? I have to
tired.
be all the time.
Yeah,
all the
I'm not doing it.
I think the only one he bought was in the room was the Wizard of
I
Oz.
like Taken 4. Trying to find
I like Taken 4.
Liam Neeson sitting at home watching cable TV. Somewhere.
And listen, if you don't want to work on any of these, it's fine. Again, I can be blue and I can be an ape. That's all I want to say. I can be a blue ape, the great blue ape. Whatever you need.
Okay, you're. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
By the way,
I'm
remember
Can I
what
just
you
tell you,
should
this
be-
is the level of
Rick,
enthusiasm.
no, you
I'm
just
not,
heard what
I'm
I
not
just heard.
falling asleep.
What I just heard. Here's
I'm
what I
really
just
not.
heard. Because I tie into empathy of people.
Yes.
Rick, up until this moment,
Right.
was the partner, the writer.
Sure.
He just became the agent for a second. I saw that. Yeah, I love it. I'll call you. Sure, I did.
Let's run it up the flagpole. Right.
The switch just went on, and I could see the eyes went different.
Yeah, glazed over.
It's terrifying.
Yeah,
you haven't felt that in a long time, have you?
Yeah. And now I know why I got to quit being an agent.
Oh my God!
By the way, there is I'm making a pitch for a game. I have nothing, but there's a game.
Here we go, more pitching.
There's a game called Pitch It or Pitch, and it's a game where you get cards, a plot and a character.
Oh my God!
And you go in and you have to immediately turn over the 2 cards, pitch the movie.
I love it.
And then the person that's sitting in the executive chair has cards that are notes. So in the middle of your pitch, it goes, great, can we make this a 50s retro
how
kind of
great
thing?
is that?
And you have to kind of wing it, and then whoever does the best pitch, gets the cards for
it's
the round.
brilliant.
It is
But that's a real
hysterical.
game?
It's a real game, and we
that's
played it. It's a lot of fun.
That's terrific. Listen, thank you for coming. Amazing success. We've known you for a long time. It's so funny. Last time I saw you was when you were getting the fax machine was churning and churning.
Yeah.
But what an amazing success.
Thanks.
And you deserve. I mean, the reboots have been amazing. You know how to do character pretty damn well. So you must feel pretty proud of this.
Yeah, well, like I say, we've been fortunate, and but yeah, we are. We're proud of what we've been.
Are you friends with Cameron, like dinners and stuff? He calls, come over, let's play, let's hang.
No,
Pictionary. No.
Not really. I mean, we've had dinner. We've been to his house, and but he lives in New Zealand now,
Right,
too,
right.
so we don't really see him that much.
And a vegan set, right? The whole set was vegan.
I would have to believe it was. I know that he's vegan.
Have you not heard he's not allowed on the set? He's
Yeah, why not?
established. Once he turns in
Tried
the
to
pages,
push it to see if I
the
can get that was a
relationship
good way
is
in
gone.
to figure if he is or isn't.
They don't. I know people like this.
So you know what the line is?
I got the thing.
I can come
need
to the set. Don't hold your breath. Avatar joke. Rick, thank you. And by the way,
Yeah.
we see you do any of these ideas, we're suing your ass. So
Right.
Thank you very much. Okay, and we have it on tape. Okay.
So, what do you think? This is so. If I came to you, and I said we're going to make a movie, a sequel of anything, and it needs to make $2 billion, but I got James Cameron. You in?
Are you? I'm not betting against that. You know my take on this. My takeaway of all
How many
this?
times can he do it?
As many times as he wants.
Do you really think so?
Look at the movie sheet. Even
No, I understand. I get it. But do you?
this guy knows something and knows how to move story and character in a way that globally the numbers don't lie. All of his movies have been big global successes,
Yeah.
and they have ecology, they have connection, human connection.
Mm-hmm.
They have so many moving parts in these that it looks simple. Oh, it's blue people doing no. It resonates because it's really like he just
All
said.
right.
It's about family.
You're absolutely right. But I want to ask you a question. I want you to give me the
Mine would be a
honest
failure.
answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want the honest
I only
answer.
answer you honestly.
Okay?
I
Because I
only
know
answer-
you, and I know you can't sit still for more than 20 minutes at a time. You seen the movie?
I have not seen the movie. You know why I didn't see the movie? Why are you laughing?
I know why you didn't see
You know
the
why I
movie.
saw the movie? Here's why I didn't see the movie.
You couldn't sit through a 3-hour and 14-minute movie.
That's not the reason.
If you were trapped on an airplane,
That's not the reason.
You'd be
That
out the
is
window.
not the reason.
What's the reason?
I had COVID twice.
That's the perfect time to see the movie.
I was going to then, I got better, going to see the movie, and I thought, you know what? 3 hours and 14 minutes.
That's
in
what
a
I
room,
said.
In a room with people coughing and going, after I just got better from COVID, I can wait a little longer.
So we just did an episode about the success of a
I
movie
know
that
all
you
about
haven't
it.
seen.
I know the whole story.
But you
I
haven't
know what
seen
everybody
it.
did.
What
I
was
know
the most
first
moving
one
part?
that they didn't use
Oh!
unobtainium again. That they said, drop that. It's stupid.
What was the
Let's not do
scariest sequence?
Unobtainium.
What was the most fantastical creature? Who gave the best performance? These are come on, Mr. Research.
Why are you talking with your hands now all of a sudden? It's like you're tossing a
I'm
pizza.
auditioning for the Ape.
Wow. I didn't go. You went to the premiere because you were invited. I was
That's
going to go
right.
two different times, Rick, and I got COVID both times. God was saying to me, "You're not going yet. You're not going yet." So there you go. That's why I
Wow.
didn't see it. And by the way, Rick knows it's more money. he still has more money coming.
Are you waiting for Avatar 4, hoping
No,
it'll
no,
be 90 minutes? Is
I-
that what it is?
and
You're
let me
hoping?
say this while Rick is here. Usually we finish when the guest is gone.
Yes.
This is my take after the fact. You ready?
Sure. Yeah.
That movies like this are important for a different reason. And I mean this for real.
Okay.
We very rarely, when we watch movies at home, shut down our lives, stop our lives, and say, I'm going to watch this and go all in and give it my attention. Movie theater, your day stops, your aggravation stops, your arguing stops, your coffee maker stops, whatever, and you go to a place, and it's an escape. And more importantly, we used to, as Americans, have shared, as humans, have shared experience, where you would laugh together. Seinfeld was a huge TV show. It had water. They used to call it water cooler moments the next day.
Why are you telling me like I don't know that?
We don't have
I
water
was
cooler.
part
We
of
don't.
it.
I'm talking to Rick.
Okay.
I'm reaching toward intelligence.
All right.
We don't have water cooler moments anymore. There are not that many things. Super Bowl, maybe a Tom Cruise film, maybe Wakanda, your film, where people have a shared experience.
Right.
And that's important. And I would love if we could get back to that. So that's why I am waiting to see it in the theater, because I want to see this in a shared experience, also on a big screen.
Yep, and
it is important. It is important to have shared experience. Don't you agree, Rick?
No, I totally agree. And there's no feeling in the world like the one when the lights first start to go down and you're sitting in a room with a bunch of strangers and you know you're in really good hands and you're about to go on this shared adventure, and there's nothing like it.
And I do think that it is possible that the movie business theatrically has been changed by COVID. But what Rick and Amanda have been making, and what
Cruise?
Cameron have been making. What's so exciting about going to the movies is that they're creating worlds.
Yeah.
These are these are not just stories. You're transported, and you cannot watch the Avatar film on a TV screen. I don't care if it's an 85-inch screen. You cannot do it. That world is so big. And as he says, when you're talking about what are the rivets made of, the detail, the attention. I have seen the original Avatar. I think I've seen it 6 times. And I see different things every time.
Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
And it is, I watched Way of Water at the premiere, and I did not feel that time.
No,
I really didn't feel that time. And even there are parts of the film where there isn't a lot of storytelling happening. There's a lot of, come visit this world, come be part of this world. It's almost like an experiential segment. And I could have gone and gone and gone and gone. It was rapturous.
I'm curious to see what it's going to do streaming. It's going to be fascinating to see in this new world, this environment, what the streaming is going to look like for this movie too.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, I'm sure it'll be strong, but it is really meant to be seen.
No, I got that. And again, the shared experience thing for me, I wish we had more of that. Googleheim, what are we doing here?
What did we miss?
What did we miss? What did we do wrong?
Couple things. Stephen Lang, of course, who played Colonel Miles Quaritch, has said that James Cameron came to him years ago saying that his character would be resurrected for the Avatar series.
Wow. Okay,
apparently was not a new idea for Mr. Cameron. Also, the whole, with Rose and Jack, could they have survived on the door? There was an episode of Mythbusters who they were able to find a way for them both to survive, but it sounds pretty intricate that you might not be able to figure that out when you're half frozen to death. And the last thing, and maybe this is not the best idea that you guys ever had, was The Wizard of Oz probably doesn't need a prequel, but it is based on a book series of 8 volumes, so maybe go to the...
Were any of them the Kansas years? The Kansas years?
No.
What happened to Dorothy's mother and father? Do any of the books talk about that? Why is it Auntie Em and Uncle Henry? Which she seems perfectly content with, by the way. Not a drop of remorse about, my mother. No song about somewhere my mother lies happy, daddy's sweet. Nothing. It's all, Annie M. What happened to Mr. and Mrs. Gale?
It's more like,
How about the song, Now I Gotta Get a Job? Now I Gotta Get a Job.
Right.
What am I going to do? I'm not trained for anything.
And certainly not in Kansas.
I also had a concussion. I mean, who's going to hire me? So there are a lot of stuff going on.
And there was a sequel that was already made. It was Return to Oz.
Yes, we don't talk about that. It's like we don't talk about Bruno.
We like the slow you. We like the thoughtful. You're sitting home rocking, thinking about stuff. Well, how am I getting out of here? How am I getting out of here next? Do I have to wait for the next tornado? Or maybe I'll buy a car and leave and go somewhere.
I'm actually sitting here going, oh my God, another Cool Hand Luke reference on this show. But
yes. I like
Jason also, if I may point out, we're the Guinness record holder for mentions of people who've been dead at least 30 or 40 years. He did Doug Henning, a magician.
When did I mention Doug Henning?
You forgot in the early episodes. You mentioned Doug Henning.
In the early episodes.
This episode,
we're into 6.
You know what? With you, it feels like a whole lot longer. Hey, everybody!
I'm just hoping that $2 billion made in the box office. If we get half that many downloads, woo!
Because of him.
Oh, my wife is calling.
Well, that's it.
He's got to
take that call, so we got to wrap it up. Thanks. Till the next episode of Really No Really.
We're just wrapping up an episode.
His priorities are completely right, completely in order. My wife's calling. We'll see you
When
later.
will I be home? As soon as Peter says the
Stop
episode's
talking.
over.
Stop talking.
Stop talking.
You know what, Dana? The episode's over.
The episode is officially over. Goodbye, everybody.